Hi everybody, welcome to the Kenya Updates live channel. Today we are graced with a very important guest, a very good friend of mine, somebody who I met years and years ago, an ICT specialist, computer science specialist, and also professor. He has many years of experience in the areas of ICTs and communication, in ensuring that we open up the space for ICTs and communications in Kenya. If you guys remember Jambonet, if you guys remember the Ministry of ICTs and Communication and this gentleman who was a permanent secretary then called Dr. Bitange Ndemo. Yes. So he was then the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Communication ICTs, and I had the honor of interviewing him on a project which was called Catalyzing Access for Technology in Africa program, TECATIA. It was funded by the Kenya government and also by international development agencies. And its role was to try to ensure liberalization of the ICT sector. And it played a big role in helping us to become basically ICT savvy and to have access to lower cost of internet connectivity, helping us to have additional GSM providers such as Airtel, Safaricom, and the rest of them. The purpose of this interview, though, is not anything to do with discussing politics. We are strictly technical here. We are talking about how artificial intelligence and information communication technology have contributed to the economic and social development of Kenya and in Africa, okay, generally. So that's the whole idea. So we want to find out what is his view in terms of the contributions since he started a long time ago of ICTs and AIs in this area. Yeah. So without further ado, let me introduce Dr. Ndemo. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir, to Kenya Updates Live. You are our first guest. Are you aware of that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's an honor, a real honor. I wanted to make sure that we harness the knowledge of people like you and people who are specialists in specific areas. We need to respect people's professions and knowledge and training and realize that AI has its limitations, doesn't it, Dr. Ndemo?
It has, but AI is, we are in the age of AI, but there is a lot that has to be ready for AI to function.
Okay.
AI is something that we need to work at. I mean, people must work to make it to work for us. If we want to have AI, which is Africa-centric, we must be ready to teach it to use our local languages. We must teach it to be able to understand the way we behave or the way we do things. This is because if we don't do that, others will teach it in a way that it would influence us with the biases that are existing. This is what I call the most consequential period in all of our history. Why? Because if we are able to use AI appropriately, it would change us in ways that we have never understood. Why? Because we now know that AI, if we teach it in our vernacular, and we use vernacular to teach, the level of comprehension when you are taught in your mother tongue is way higher than it is when you learn in other people's language. Chinese speak their language, learn their language, learn through their language, but they've become very innovative. They didn't have to do English or French or whatever to be able to be better at what they are at the moment. It's because the level of comprehension when you are taught in your mother tongue is much more powerful. I'll give you a very good example so that you you can understand. When we learn English or we learn in English, sometimes we tend to compartmentalize that knowledge in the English side, and then we learn our mother tongue, and there are some things we do in our mother tongue. Say, for example, you want to do some roofing of your house. If you did trigonometry, you could do the roof on the ground and lift it and put it there, because there is a relationship between the adjacent mbao and the one that is opposite. These are things we memorize in school, and so if you want to study trigonometry, you have to remember twas or kaha, meaning tangent equals opposite of adjacent, and cosine is equals to this. But we never applied it. It never became part of the application because we thought it was that you learn it to pass.
But I had this discussion recently with people about how mathematics needs to be made applicable. Some people have different learning styles. Yeah. So, for example, there was a time immediately after high school, I became a nursery school teacher, and I was trying to teach children mathematics. I noticed that children have different learning styles. Some of them are visual, some of them they touch, some of them they understand the theory. They're abstract thinkers. But most people, most of the children learned better by doing and touching. So, like you said, to make it applicable, using our mother tongue or using even just, practical application is really absolutely important.
Yes. If we attempted to teach our kids in our mother tongue, a lot of things would go in the right direction than what we are doing at the moment, because there are some things culturally that you fear. You cannot, for example, talk rudely to an older man or an older woman, because there is that respect. Besides that, by the way, we don't learn at the same speed. AI can see the speed at which you are able to comprehend things, and it can deliver content at that speed. And it can know that you are autistic and treat you with that and be able to provide you learning in such a way that you understand. So what we do in class when we teach the average student, and then we leave the others hanging in there. So that's why I said this is the most consequential period we can change things. That there are people we called foolish in school, but they succeeded heavily in business. Actually, most of the rich were the ones who dropped out. And it's because they thought through at their own pace and they made so much money than the people who did it so quickly, their understanding, but it doesn't sink to produce something out of it. And I've seen in class when you teach, there are people who stare at you, trying to figure out how to understand the thing. And these are the ones who do very well. There are those who get it quickly and do things. So AI would change many things about us. Besides that, it's going to change if we begin to use it to remove poverty today. We can do it, meaning that at some point when World Bank brought extension officers, we used to do very well as in farming. When they stopped the extension officers, we dropped. And since then, our food production has gone down, our productivity declined. Now that we can now bring in AI, and we have what we call the models, which keep on reminding you what must be done before you plant, what must be done once you're planted, where would you take the harvest, who needs to consume it. So you understand all the value chains. Actually, I began to write about it in my LinkedIn platform to show different value chains that if you understand a bit of mathematics, data, you can do better than not understanding it. For example, we are consuming fish from China because the Chinese came and studied us. They looked at how much we consume. They looked at how much we produce. They knew there was a deficit. They started to supply the deficit and even more because theirs was cheaper, because they understand, they have the data. So why we need data and AI is that we can go to the villages in Kiambu and you find somebody with a quarter an acre and advise them, please don't grow maize because it can't give you enough money to sustain yourself for even 2 months. So the best thing you do is either mushrooms, which you can do in a quarter acre, or you can do poultry. And in that poultry, we can give instructions that you can build something which can catch for 5,000 chicken and how to feed those chickens, how to get them the medicines, how to predict what would happen so that you get full chicken, 5,000 of them at 1,000, that is 5 million. They will pay school fees for the children and they would have enough money to buy food for the whole year. Meaning that the term predictive models, can you predict what would happen to you in the next 1 year? You start saying, I consume this much, I have these kids going to school, I must have this much money to sustain myself the whole year. But do we sit down to do that? It's just that we leave it because Maureen would supply that. That's how you end up having so many dependents because they are not using any predictive model to be able to know that what the activity they are doing cannot sustain them. And they can ask the question, Maureen, please help me. Help me understand how can I sustain myself? These are the much resources I have. And then you can put it in such a way that many people can respond and say, yes, we can help this way. And the banks begin to understand that you understand how much resources you want and how you would get it, and that you would get it so that they can advance you resources to have that. So very simply, we have the capacity now to be able to change the livelihood of many people by leveraging AI to improve our productivity in farming, to improve our thinking, to improve our learning, to improve, all kinds of things. But everybody must know this and begin to ask the right questions and prepare content in vernacular so that the people can understand what is said. People can ask questions. Is it going to rain next year? Right now, they can't ask because they think only God knows that the rains would come. And you know that this can be predicted. And if you know that it's not going to rain, you don't plant, which means you don't spoil the crop for nothing. So if people get to know that the capacity to predict is there, and be able to predict, and be able to ask the right questions, and that we give the right responses, we can minimize poverty.
This discussion, when you're talking about predictive modeling, using predictive modeling with AI, that you only need to know a little to ask it, what kind of questions to ask it, and to use the right language. Like, as you see, our vernacular stations are very, very successful, especially where they're teaching people things to do with farming, planting, harvesting, marketing their crops, agribusiness. Can you imagine if they now introduce AI tools? That would mean that, though, that I believe that there would need to be funding for the people who are already so well trained, the ones you yourself have trained at the university, to help them to now get into this area.
It's our responsibility, by the way, to tell people that if you are able to do A, B, C, D, and then if you have a smartphone, we can give you regular information on what you need to do to make the right, to ask the right questions and make the right decisions.
Whose responsibility would that be? When you say our responsibility, whose?
Anybody who has gone to school.
Okay.
So
everybody who has gone to school should educate those who have a smartphone about how to use AI, such as who? Such as GPT. Is that what you're talking about? But that's in English. Or you mean that?
Do you have WhatsApp in your hands there?
Yes.
Do you have Meta?
Yes.
Do you see Meta anywhere? Just click Meta. Click Meta.
Ah. Okay.
And ask how many acres of maize do I have to grow in Kenya to feed a family of 3?
So we actually have the tools in our hands. It's only that we don't know how to use them, or we're underutilized.
And some people must take the responsibility to teach that system so that it can provide the right answers.
Okay, that's excellent. Yeah. I think we're almost running out of time. I think I would like to ask you maybe a question here. And you have heard what Dr. Ndemo has said, that we are now at a crossroads in our country. He used a different term. What was that term that you said?
At the most critical, most consequential period.
Consequential.
Ever. Because if we don't take advantage of this, we are done. Because poverty in Africa, almost, I think it's growing faster than we thought. Worldwide, almost 90% of the poor would be in Africa. You just go online and ask which is going to be the poorest continent and how many people you will find there. It is there. Data is there. Data is there. In fact, in the next 5 years, Africa would be so poor that you cannot even buy food yourself. Somebody will come to your house to take it. This is serious. If people can't find food, they would get it from their neighbors who are capable of having it.
Okay, I hear you. And we have heard Kenyans say these kinds of things. Although we didn't understand how serious it is when they say, tutawasalimia. You hear those words. You don't realize where this is taking us.
No.
What they're saying is that they're hungry. Kenyans are hungry. And if they can't afford to buy it, they will come for it.
You'll come for it at night. And
even
if it means to kill you, they will do that. Yeah.
Shocking. Yeah. Very shocking. Ndemo, thank you so much for that, because you guys, we have stopped at a crucial point where we are saying that this is really a life or unlife matter, that we need to integrate AI and we need to adapt it to our situation, help people use the resources that they have to survive.
Scanners were donated to northern Kenya. And clinics now can check a pregnant woman and see how the baby is lying. And they would advise some, you can't survive birth. No more. Go to a hospital. And those which there is no difficulty, they tell them you are okay, you can stay. They have almost eliminated child death or death, mothers dying from giving birth in most of the northern Kenya, simply because of the AI-driven small things they put here, scanner, they know it gives the results, and it doesn't require a doctor to know that you will have a problem during birth. So, and as I, when you are properly okay. AI is helping farmers know that the crop needs this kind of food to be able to get sufficient harvest. And it's just a camera, your mobile, you just go, it will tell you here, you need to put this. AI is helping education. So it's a watershed moment for AI. It's not something we should just say AI or something. And as I say, AI, it means we must quickly begin to teach it, just like a baby, to teach it our language and be able to have our own biases as Black people.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Dr. Ndemo. What a way to end this interview. You heard it, and I have nothing else to add except to say thank you so much, and we hope to have you on board to discuss AI in future with us. Thank you so much for that very enlightening interview, and we really appreciate your time. Wish you well. We know that Kenyans love you very much, and we are more than grateful for your advice, your very helpful advice. With that, we thank you guys for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. This is Kenya Updates Live with Maureen and Dr. Ndemo. Bye-bye. Thank you. Kwaheri.
Thank you.